welcome. As always, I hope that your week has been more positive than otherwise. And if you have had to contend with unpleasantness, contain it and contend with it, it has been that the unpleasantness has been handleable and resolvable with a minimum of difficulty. Even while I recognize that such a hope is just that, a hope. Difficulties come to all of us, and they can be quite intractable, which is why I find our weekly meeting together to be so valuable. In the face of life's ups and downs, it is important to have techniques, skills, and even a vocabulary with which to deal with the setbacks and struggles we all face. The ability to pause, take a step back, and take a deep breath is one of those skills that can give us much needed perspective and a chance to reset our responses in a way that can often be more helpful and productive than our immediate response and our immediate reactions might have been. So let us take our first break to breathe as we remove ourselves from whatever our day has held for us up until this point. Even if it has been upbeat and joyous, let's just take a break, find that safe haven where we are just existence, just existing without being concerned about anything other than the intake and the release of the breath that sustains us. And the reason we do this is just to center ourselves, to put ourselves right here, right now, in this moment, because we cannot live what has passed, and we cannot live what's going to be 5 minutes from now. We can only live right now. So let us take our meditative positions, which for most people is sitting. It could be standing, could be lying on the floor, although there's much more temptation to fall asleep when we're on the floor. But listen, if that works, I would not argue you out of it. Let's put our feet firmly on the ground and let's do an inventory. We turn from the mind really to the body when we do this. And we just give our body some attention and try to let go of all those internal places that we tend to hold and sometimes hold on very tightly. So actually, I like to close my eyes already to do this. Some of you may want to, some of you may just want to gaze softly at nothing in particular. But we can let go of let us imagine letting go even of our scalps, of our foreheads, our brow, our eyebrows, and the brow that can be so wrinkled in concern or worry or even joy. Let's release our jaws, our ears, even the tongues in our mouths. It is remarkable how many places tension can find to dwell, to sit, to be. Tension can just be anywhere in our bodies and hold on to things like our necks, our shoulders. Many of us have back aches and back pains, and lots of it is just muscular, but I believe that sometimes those muscles get pulled because we're holding them very tightly. Let us let go of our tummies that take so much abuse and in lots of ways reveal the tensions that we hold within them. As we move through our sitting postures and just kind of wiggle around in our thighs and our knees and our calves and our ankles, and we can We might want to just flap our arms, flap our legs back and forth, circle our ankles, wiggle our toes. It might be helpful sometimes just to imagine yourselves on the beach with your toes in the sand. That can be a nice image just to kind of relax and let go and let go. And then let's take that first breath. It's almost like taking a drink of something, just a cool, refreshing drink, or a warm, soothing, comforting drink of something you enjoy. We inhale that breath, we take it in and imagine that it is filling all those places that we just released. Because that's why we did it, so that the breath could reach into the farthest corners of our bodies. And then let's just hold it for a moment, feeling its fullness, feeling its healing power, feeling its presence. And when it becomes really uncomfortable to continue to hold it, let's let it go and follow the breath out. All of it if we can. Imagining that the breath is taking the last bits of stress and tension out of our bodies. And let's rest at the bottom of that release until we need the next breath. And fill up once again. It's like taking a mini vacation. Just thinking about the breath going in and going out. Imagine it as a luxurious activity. It only takes seconds. But by doing it, we remove ourselves. We take ourselves away from every other stimulus, every other thing that claims our attention, our focus, gives us a respite. The only thing that is happening right now is breathing in. And let us follow that breath in. Follow it on its journey. Stay with it. Stay with it. Still pull it in if you can. And then let it go. Release it. Do it quickly all at once or slowly. And luxuriate in the release as we luxuriate in the inhalation. If we can stay with that breath and only think about the breath and any other thoughts that come along, we can notice them, but let's just let them go. If they really need our attention, they will return. And if they're just passing interruptions, we may as well let them go. Breath in. Follow its journey. Stay with it. Breath out. I continue to be absorbed by the disconnection many of us feel between our inner lives and our outer appearances, or the public faces we feel we need to present to a judging world. As we have acknowledged before, social media has really shown a light on the harm that can be done when we feel that everyone else's life is upbeat, happy, stress-free, and without conflicts and insecurities that we might feel oppress us. Over and over again, we are disabused of this notion. In interviews with seemingly successful people, in articles that detail the struggles that so many face, in the pictures and backstories of the Olympic athletes as they attempt superhuman feats, and we attribute superhuman qualities to them. Even a cursory glance at the competitions taking place right now on a daily basis remind us of our ultimate humanity and fallibility. There is no question that some of the performances have been absolutely spectacular and thrilling, and they remind us of the remarkable accomplishments that inspire and uplift us. But I also cannot help but feel compassion for the image of Michaela Schifrin sitting at the side of the ski slope after she fell in the slalom trial of the Beijing Olympics. As one writer observed, she has always come off as both vulnerable and invincible, a mere mortal who skis like a god. The operative word here being mortal, and the idea being of our vulnerability, no matter how talented, practiced, and accomplished we may be. There are many examples of great athletes who exceed their and our expectations, as well as those who, for whatever reason, fail to live up to their promise in those 3 or 4 or 5 minutes of impossibly intense pressure to perform. Somehow, however, I think most of us focus on the heroic accomplishments and not on the cost of such feats to the mind, body, and spirit of the athlete. This is a scenario that repeats itself over and over again in all walks of life, as we see others in idealized lights, especially in relation to our own negatively skewed images of ourselves. As if to both personalize and universalize the truth of our experience, I was moved recently by an article by Charles M. Blow entitled, "Death Changed My Life." In it, he describes quite honestly and unflinchingly his predisposition to depression that manifested itself as a feeling of being completely overwhelmed by his life, what he calls the imposter syndrome, even though he was outwardly successful in every way. He writes, "But the struggle can manifest differently, as it did in me, as a feeling of being completely overwhelmed by your life, even if by all outward measures I appeared to be succeeding. Inside, I was drowning." So he powered through and confesses, "Around the time my brother died, my life was a mess. Publicly, I was a columnist for the New York Times, a CNN contributor about to start his own show on the Black News Channel, and an author on the brink of publishing his second book. I worked out and I ate well. Health is wealth was my motto. But privately, I wasn't healthy. I was lonely and alone. I drank too much. I lived my life like it was about to end. I was afraid to be alone with my pain because in the quiet, it got loud. When people saw me, when they experienced me, they may well have seen a free spirit, even a reckless one. But in truth, what they were seeing was the personification of pain and trauma, walking and talking. Then my brother's death blew a hole in me and made me reconsider everything. What kind of life did I want to live? What kind of man, kind of person did I want to be? Within a month, I changed everything. I stopped drinking. I learned to sit with myself alone and experience my emotions and to deal with tough days and even the exhilarating ones head on. I was and am still dating someone truly special who has taught me what being at peace with yourself looks like. And I have come to see things clearly again, things that seem so simple to me now, but that somehow I couldn't see then. That life is a series of peaks and valleys, and it is a fool's errand to try to flatten them out. That beauty is in the connections we make to self, to family, to friends, to the earth, that we don't judge the quality of a life by the volume at which we live it, that I deserve to be kind to myself. I am finally, fully at peace. I confess, I find the rapidity and seeming totality with which he changes somewhat startling and hard to reconcile, given the years and years of a very different reality for him. Perhaps he had suffered for so long that when the opportunity for change presented itself, he was so desperate and so ready that it happened quickly and thoroughly. What I find most instructive about his account is how common and yet unique is his struggle, and how this story is one more testament to the fact that the ultimate crucible of our lives is our own internal selves. We may externalize our inner pain and difficulty into conflicts with others. We may turn our pain outward in angry outbursts. We may express our loneliness and sense of isolation in a too busy schedule of responsibilities and social engagements. As below attests, I was afraid to be alone with my pain because in the quiet, it got loud. In the end, however, we must go to those difficult places if we ever want to be whole, if we ever want, as he said, to be finally, fully at peace. So let us take this moment to be at peace just by breathing in and out. Let's take our postures again. Release from within. Close our eyes and breathe. Just breathe. I am quite sure that one of the techniques Charles Blow used to change, to quit drinking, to look at his own feelings, to be present to his pain, was meditation. I didn't read it, I didn't hear it, but I have to believe that was part of what he had to do to turn things around. That break, that ability just to step back, to remove ourselves and to center ourselves in this moment, in the moment in which we are living. It allows us more control. We're not running after lost moments, and we're not spending a lot of time anticipating what is to come. We're just being present to our lives. and to the reality that we share our frailties, our vulnerabilities, our joys, our delight. We share those things with every other human being. I used to tell my children, no one escapes difficulty. No one. And every person has a handicap. Sometimes it is more visible. Sometimes only the individual knows. But everyone has something that they have to overcome. What I find most instructive about his account is how common and yet unique is his struggle. This is the work we all must do. It is singular, sacred work, the work of our lives. By way of conclusion and contemplation for the week ahead, I would share with you this poem entitled Being Human, written by Naima Penniman, probably Naima Penniman. I wonder if the sun debates dawn some mornings, not wanting to rise out of bed from under the down feather horizon. If the sky grows tired of being everywhere at once, adapting to the mood swings of the weather. If clouds drift off, trying to hold themselves together, make deals with gravity to loiter a little longer. I wonder if rain is scared of falling, if it has trouble letting go, if snowflakes get sick of being perfect all the time, each one trying to be one of a kind. I wonder if stars wish upon themselves before they die, if they need to teach their young how to shine. I wonder if shadows long to just for once feel the sun, if they get lost in the shuffle, not knowing where they're from. I wonder if sunrise and sunset respect each other, even though they've never met. If volcanoes get stressed, if storms have regrets, if compost believes in life after death. I wonder if breath ever thinks of suicide, if the wind just wants to sit still sometimes and watch the world pass by. If smoke was born knowing how to rise, if rainbows get shy backstage, not sure if their colors match right. I wonder if lightning sets an alarm clock to know when to crack. If rivers ever stop and think of turning back. If streams meet the wrong sea and their whole lives run off track. I wonder if the snow wants to be black. If the soil thinks she's too dark. If butterflies want to cover up their marks, if rocks are self-conscious of their weight, if mountains are insecure of their strength. I wonder if waves get discouraged crawling up the sand only to be pulled back again to where they began. If land feels stepped upon, if sand feels insignificant, if trees need to question their lovers to know where they stand, if branches waver at the crossroads, unsure of which way to grow, if the leaves understand they're replaceable and still dance when the wind blows, I wonder where the moon goes when she is in hiding. I want to find her there and watch the ocean spin from a distance. Listen to her, stir in her sleep. Effort, give way to existence. I wish you a week of being totally, completely, fully human, of having compassion for yourself, for being so, for loving yourself in all your frailty and vulnerability, and allowing yourself irrational moments of feeling alive. God bless. See you next time.